Remember Grapple Dog? Yes, that lovable swinging furball that stole my time and probably a little bit of my sanity in the process? Well, now it's back with Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines, and I'm here to find out if this sequel is shooting for the stars or, well, just barking up the same tree. Basically, is it more the same antics or has it leveled up? Let's leash up and swing into it. So this time around, our fearless lead pup, Pablo, has been having some wild, mysterious dreams because what's a good adventure without a touch of cosmic insomnia? Well, now enter a life form who actually happens to drop by in one of these dreams, you know, as you do, and it tells Pablo to head to a tower because, surprise, their entire existence is under attack and they need your help. Yes, I know, no pressure, right? But naturally, this means it's actually time now to leap into space and start hopping between universes. Oh, and also, we're not alone this time. Luna, the new playable character, brings a bit of sass and angst to the otherwise, what I'd call, I guess, fluffy universe. The whole vibe, generally, is still light-hearted here with the narrative, which I appreciated, but the pacing, honestly, it could have used a bit more energy. Sometimes the writing here drags on, and they could have just gotten to the point quicker, I think would be the best way to put it. Still, like, it's fun overall, just could have tightened up a few parts to keep things a little extra snappy. Now, if you are enjoying this video, by the way, do us a favour, subscribe, helps out the channel a huge amount. So gameplay, and at its core, Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines is still a platformer that very much lives and breathes grapple hook shenanigans, just like its predecessor. But this time, Luna swings into the mix, and she's not just here for a simple, you know, typical almost character skin swap. Nope, Luna brings her own totally unique skill set and she's shaking things up big time. Now, straight out of the gate, you can feel how different she plays, and it's a game changer, honestly. The levels as well, yes, they've been built specifically with these abilities in mind, so don't expect to pick and choose which character you use. You get what the game gives you, and honestly, I think it very much works that way. But now let's break down their abilities. If I had to describe them as classes, Pablo's your melee guy, while Luna's all about that ranged action. You know, Pablo swings, punches, and ground pounds his way to victory, the classic moves we know, but Luna, she's packing heat. And yes, you heard that right, a gun. You aim with the right stick and fire with the trigger, adding a whole new layer of gameplay. Look, sure, you can still, of course, as well, bop enemies on the head, but why the hell would you do that when you can shoot them into oblivion? And it doesn't stop there either. There's of course crossover. Luna's got a grapple too, obviously, but she swaps out the ground pound for a dash that works both on the ground and midair. It is incredibly satisfying to zip around the levels using that dash to make quick escapes or nail, you know, these kind of tricky platforming sections. And because of these unique skill sets, you're essentially getting levels that vary wildly. And while I loved the first game, this one puts it to shame with the concepts it introduces. You'll still find familiar mechanics like balloons to grapple to, ground crumbling beneath your paws, and cannons that feel straight out of Donkey Kong. Plus as well, of course, all of the levels still packed with danger, pits below, enemies ready to take you out. But when you throw Luna into the mix, she brings a whole new challenge. You're going to be shooting switches, dashing across gaps, and obliterating enemies in a way that just feels very fresh for this universe. What I really love though is how non-linear these levels are. It's not your typical 2D platformer thanks to their skill sets. You'll often find out of reach sections, for example, or paths to backtrack for collectibles and even hidden secrets. Some of these collectibles, yeah, they are keys to unlocking the next area of the game, so they are mandatory. But yeah, exploration in this world, absolutely key. And also then, thanks to the cosmic theme, you're going to be hopping between some wild locations. You've got your traditional, of course, Grapple Dog settings, but also then a city full of talking monkeys, an alien invasion, even a black and white detective style world, and that's just naming a few. But then, after all of this, what good are these creative levels without a solid lineup of enemies to keep you, you know, on your toes, right? Well, Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines delivers with an alien-like race that comes with a variety of tricks up their sleeves. You start with standard drones, the type that kind of shuffle around, minding their own business, until you get too close at least. But before you know it, you're going to be dealing with ones that stretch their arms at you like they're straight out of One Piece, flying enemies that rain down projectiles, and heavies that act like cannons, just blasting everything in sight, and again, just scratching the surface. Each world then as well has a boss encounter, and honestly, these were some of my favourite moments, which was kind of unexpected. I don't typically look forward to platformer boss battles, but one early example, a heavy that charges around like a bull in a china shop, forcing you to swing above as Luna to basically dodge while firing off shots. Another, a platforming challenge where you're running for your life from a screen-filling enemy, simply trying not to get squashed. They really crank up the intensity, and I really did have a blast in these moments. It's also worth noting then as well, one of my favourite things about Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines, each world comes with a shiny new ability for our lead. So early on, Pablo gets a harpoon-like device that yanks him towards objects, absolutely clutch in a pinch, while Luna scores a gun that can reveal hidden objects like trees when fired at their outlines. It just feels like the game always has something new up its sleeve, keeping things very much fresh as you do progress through its universe. So how do the levels, enemies, and mechanics all come together? Well, honestly, it feels great. In fact, I think they've tightened up the controls compared to the original. The grapple hook there could be a little bit tricky at times. Don't get me wrong, it's still got a bit of that tricky charm, but it's noticeably smoother. That said though, compared to the first game, there's now just a bigger learning curve that you'll want to be aware of, because with two characters swapping in and out from level to level, each with their own unique skill sets, it's easy to kind of make a few mistakes early on. So I'll admit, for example, there were times I went to dash as Luna and ended up ground pounding into a pit as Pablo. Not a complaint, more an observation, but definitely something that's probably going to cross your path if you jump into this world. Oh, and on worlds, each world comes with challenge levels unlocked by collecting fruit along the way. These are a blast. They award medals and a key if you nab gold. Plus, I actually found them to be the perfect places to practice all of the new tricks that the game throws at you. It's also worth mentioning at this point the levels become incredibly tricky. The first game had its moments, there's no question, but this one dials it up. There were a few times in fact where I had to step away and take a break because they were really just like trying to push my patience. It wasn't the game's fault though, it's all about skill, but don't let the cute exterior fool you. This game, it really does know how to challenge you. If that difficulty though has you concerned, but still you want to dive into this world, do not worry, the game has you covered with a few accessibility options. The big ones here, there's a mode for invincibility so you can't die, meaning no more getting tossed back to the last checkpoint. Then there's actually an option to jump constantly, and literally you're going to be taking off with it turned on. I turned this on to kind of check it out, and I've got to say it almost feels like a cheat code, and it's weirdly fun watching this furball fly away. Definitely check it out, if only for laughs, even if you don't need the assist. Regarding problems with the experience, I honestly don't have many complaints. It's got a lot right here, but one element that bugged me from the very start was the gates that pop up as soon as you enter a new world. It requires a specific collectible I've been calling keys throughout the review today. Basically, each core level has 3 keys, and the challenge is give you one. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of this design. I found myself replaying levels to hit the key requirement, which took away from how I like to play, running through like Sonic the Hedgehog, because it's kind of my jam when it comes to platformers. It didn't stump me for long since I quickly realised I had to keep an eye out for them, but it felt a bit restrictive. I wish the game gave me the freedom to play how I wanted. That said though, it is of course tied to the core design of the game. Level selection here isn't linear, and once you have enough keys, you can skip entire levels and just head straight to the boss encounter. So I do get why it's there, it's just, again, not my favourites. Finally, finishing on a couple of positive notes, performance is solid. The original game had some noticeable frame rate drops at times, but this one has been smooth for me throughout. There were a few minor fluctuations here and there, but nothing that really stood out or affected my experience. Also, lots of replayability. Not only are there collectibles, but there's an option to do time trials on every single level that you do beat, so you can go back and keep on trying to one-up yourself on that previous time. Overall though, look, it runs much better than its predecessor. I've had a fantastic time with the gameplay as well, so let's jump now into graphics. With all of the tight gameplay mechanics in place then, let's talk about how Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines looks in action, and the game looks fantastic with its beautiful pixel style, chunky character design, something I've always loved. But where this one really stands out is in its cosmic theme, which allows for some seriously unique worlds. 1 minute you're in a black and white noir setting, the next you're fighting vibrant aliens in a futuristic cityscape. The variety keeps things fresh, and the animations for both Pablo and Luna absolutely on point. Pablo's new moves have great flair, and Luna's gun not only feels powerful, but it looks the part too. Now, I did run into one minor visual glitch. Pablo disappeared for a few seconds after connecting with a hitbox in what I presume was a weird way, but it corrected itself after a few seconds very quickly, and it didn't impact gameplay. Of course, though, great visuals aren't enough on their own from a presentation perspective. How does the game sound? And I generally like the audio, but the one area where I see the most room for improvement, the music, of course, catchy as ever, really good soundtrack. The in-game sound effects even, solid. But the cutscenes, they feel a bit empty. There were moments like an explosion on screen where the speakers stayed silent, and it really dragged down the excitement. I think this lack of sound in the cutscenes contributes to my earlier feeling that the story drags. It's just missing that extra punch that a well-done audio field could easily provide. So overall, the Grapple Dogs Cosmic Canines takes the already lovable formula of the original and cranks it up with fresh abilities, exciting level design, and a cosmic adventure that's hard to put down. Look, sure, there are a few hiccups here and there, but it's an incredibly fun platformer that will keep you swinging back for more. Whether you're a fan of the first game or jumping in fresh, this one is a must-play for platformer fans. It is a cosmic adventure that'll hook you in, literally, and today it's a great 8 out of 10 from me. So will you be checking this one out? Let us know in the comments. With that, hit subscribe, join us here for daily Switch content, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.